In the mansion on the hill, the air always felt strangely heavy, as if sorrow itself clung to the walls. And on one icy morning, as the sun struggled to rise, a truth buried for years finally began to tremble beneath the surface, all because a tired, overworked black single dad pushed open a door he was never meant to enter. It was the moment everything changed, the moment when a secret darker than the long shadows in that mansion began to reveal itself. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of good people doing the right thing, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Plus tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Your support helps bring stories like this to life. Darius Miller had never imagined his life would lead him here, sweeping long marble hallways for people who never learned his name. But life had been unpredictable ever since his wife passed, leaving him alone to raise 7-year-old Jaden. Every morning he dropped his son at school, whispered a promise that better days would come, and then rushed uphill to the Whitmore estate, where he worked as a cleaner, one of the many invisible hands that kept the Millionaire's world running smoothly. The estate was legendary in their town. Tall iron gates, a long driveway lined with ancient oaks, and an estate so large it felt like a world of its own. Yet despite all that beauty, the mansion never felt alive. It felt sick. And rumor had it that its owner, Warren Whitmore, was fading too, trapped in a cycle of endless illness that no doctor could explain. Warren was a man who had once been larger than life, a self-made millionaire known for brilliance and grit. But now, bedridden and pale, he was rarely seen by anyone except his private nurse. Staff whispered theories, curses, rare diseases, madness, but no one dared get close. It wasn't their place. But Darius wasn't like the others. He noticed things. He paid attention. Maybe because he'd learned the hard way that life could fall apart quietly, silently, without anyone meaning harm. Maybe because he knew what it felt like to be overlooked. Maybe because he didn't want anyone, no matter how rich or unreachable, to suffer alone. His job was simple: clean the east wing, avoid the west wing, and never disturb the master's room. But every day, strange details gnawed at him. The mansion's atmosphere shifted, metallic smells one morning, a bitter chemical scent another. Food trays left outside Warren's door always seemed untouched. Sometimes, faint scratching echoed through the hallway at night, like someone dragging something across wood. And more importantly, Warren's nurse, Ms. Reeves, carried an air of coldness that felt misplaced in a home filled with sickness and pain. She moved with precision, always watching, always controlling. One evening, after Darius worked a double shift at his second job and returned to the mansion half dizzy with exhaustion, he stumbled upon something odd. A glass vial rolled under his shoe, dark liquid inside, faint residue along its rim. He knew he shouldn't touch it, but something inside whispered that he must. The vial smelled like bitter almonds, like the chemical scent he'd smelled by Warren's room earlier that week. He slipped it into his pocket, quietly, cautiously. But that night, he couldn't sleep. Even after getting home, tucking Jaden into bed, and pretending everything was fine, he lay awake thinking of the mansion, the vial, the millionaire who'd built an empire yet lay wasting away alone. And beneath all that worry was something deeper, the memory of losing his own wife to a medical mistake no one had cared enough to question. He had promised himself never to look away again. The next morning, he arrived early. The mansion was unusually quiet. Even the birds seemed to avoid the estate, as though sensing danger. As Darius mopped near the stairway, he noticed Ms. Reeves leaving Warren's room with a tray in her hands. She moved briskly, but for the first time, the door behind her hadn't fully shut. A small gap remained, barely noticeable, yet undeniable. Darius froze. He knew he shouldn't, but something felt different today, something urgent. And when a faint, weak moan drifted from the room, something inside him snapped. His heart beat in his ears. His breath turned shallow. He pushed the door open. The sight inside stopped him cold. Warren Whitmore lay in bed, shockingly frail, a ghost of the man who built the empire his portrait displayed downstairs. His breathing was shallow. His skin looked discolored, not like illness but like poison. On the nightstand, another vial lay uncapped. And most horrifying of all, Warren's eyes, sunken but aware, shifted toward Darius with desperate urgency, as if begging for help. Darius stepped closer. The smell hit him again, the same bitter almond scent. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. He gently raised Warren's hand, cold and trembling, and realized this wasn't natural sickness. This was suffering. Before he could think, a sharp voice cut through the room. Ms. Reeves stood in the doorway, eyes wide but not shocked, only furious. From that moment on, everything spiraled. She accused him of trespassing, of violating rules. She threatened to have him fired, arrested even. But her reaction, too defensive, too aggressive, only confirmed what Darius already knew in his gut: Warren wasn't sick. Warren was being made sick. He left that day with shaking hands and a racing heart. But he didn't quit. He couldn't. The image of Warren's pleading eyes haunted him. And so, for the next few days, Darius observed her. He noticed patterns. She always handled Warren's meals personally. She never allowed staff inside. She controlled his medication with absolute authority, and always refilled his water from a small, unmarked bottle she carried in her bag. Piece by piece, the truth formed a chilling picture. Warren's illness had started only after Ms. Reeves arrived. His health dipped whenever she administered his medication. She isolated him from everyone. She maintained full power over his estate. And with his weakened state, she was dangerously close to being the one person with full access to his wealth. One night, after the staff had left and the mansion grew silent, Darius made the decision that changed everything. He returned to the estate, driven by instinct, fear, and something stronger: compassion. Warren didn't deserve this. No one did. Darius reached Warren's room with a pounding heart, half expecting alarms to go off. Instead, he found Warren barely breathing, his chest rising in small, painful waves. The room felt colder than usual. Something was wrong. Something worse than before. He rushed to Warren's side, whispering steady words even though Warren could barely hear him. Darius managed to lift him just enough to help him sip clean water from the bathroom sink. Warren's body responded, small twitches, faint breaths, a tiny spark of returning consciousness. It was working, until a sound cut through the silence: heels, clicking sharply, approaching fast. Ms. Reeves. She entered, shocked to find Darius there, and immediately lunged toward him, pushing him away from the bed with unexpected force. Her voice rose, venomous, shrill, accusing him of harming Warren. But Darius stood firm. For the first time, he spoke with the authority he never knew he had. He told her he knew what she was doing, that she was slowly poisoning Warren, that he found the vials, that he'd seen her patterns, that she was killing him for control and inheritance. Her face twisted, and for one chilling second, she didn't deny it. But what she didn't know was that Darius had already called for help, his phone still connected, recording, broadcasting every word. Within moments, police lights flashed outside the mansion. Officers stormed in. Ms. Reeves's mask finally shattered as she tried to escape, but it was too late. The truth spilled into the world like a dam breaking. Warren was rushed to the hospital, where doctors confirmed what Darius already knew: he had been poisoned over time with a rare, slow-acting substance. It would have killed him. But not anymore. Days passed. Warren survived. And when he finally regained enough strength to speak, he asked to see one person: Darius. In that hospital room, with sunlight warming the walls and a quiet peace settling over everything, Warren took Darius's hand with surprising strength and whispered gratitude that brought tears to the single dad's eyes. He thanked him not just for saving his life, but for seeing him, not the millionaire, not the myth, but the lonely man whose suffering had gone unseen for too long. In time, their lives intertwined in ways neither expected. Warren helped Darius secure a better home for Jaden. He funded his education. He even offered him a new role at the company, one founded not on pity, but on trust and respect. But more than anything, he gave Darius something priceless: proof that kindness, courage, and compassion could ripple outward and change lives in ways unimaginable. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe so we can continue sharing powerful stories with you. Before we end, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Darius Miller's place? The world needs more voices, more hearts, more courage. Because sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones no one notices. Until the day they save a life.